Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Deepa Robbins from Designs by D, and today I'll be posting on behalf of the Make the Cards Challenge number 26. And this happens to be a sketch challenge, and I decided to use some alcohol inks to make a nice pretty background for my sketch card. And for this card, I decided to make a Christmas card. So in honor of Christmas in July, this is the card I chose to make. I'll be using the alcohol inks for the background. I'll be using some die cuts to add some little elements here and there, and also some glimmer foiling for that main central ornament in the center of my card. Not to mention, I'll also be showing you how I designed the inside of my card as well. So as I mentioned, the challenge for this week is a sketch challenge. Here's the sketch. I encourage you all to go on over to www.makethecardschallenge.com. They have all the details for the challenge, and go ahead and link up your creations. So let's get into this. I'm going to be using Yupo white cardstock, size 5" by 7". If you're not familiar with it, it's a special cardstock for alcohol inks. I'll also be using the We Are Memory Keepers marker airbrush along with these Ranger alcohol inks. And I'm going to be using that silver mixative there as well. I have a pipette and some 99.9% isopropyl alcohol, but 90% would be fine as well. And this Pinata brass alcohol ink as well. So I'm just going to add some of the isopropyl alcohol to my paper first, to my cardstock, and then I'll start adding some of these inks here. Now, I did mention that I used the pebble here, but I didn't actually use that one at all. I just used the cloudy sky, or this cloudy blue. I used the cool Perry, which is the purple, and what was that? Like the shell pink or something like that. Anyways, they're all listed in the video, and you can also find all my supplies listed in my blog with a bunch of links. So if you were interested in buying them, you could go ahead and click on the links and find out where I got them from. So I'm really just adding my ink to the paper. First of all, I'll add the isopropyl alcohol, then I add the ink, and then I'm just blowing it around to sort of move it around. Now, if you've worked with alcohol inks before, you know this hand sanitizer really comes in handy to clean up your workspace. So all I really do is put some down. The mixative is maybe harder to get off your space, but it does eventually come off. So as I said, I add the IPA, then I'm adding the ink, and I'll add a bit of this. In this case, I'm using the Pinata brass alcohol ink. Now this one is really cool. It's a little different than the silver mixative. The silver mixative actually works with the inks, and it becomes like a bit of shimmer within the ink with a little bit of like silver edges. But this brass Pinata ink is a little different in that it's like you can see in the center, some of that has mixed and created a bit of a shimmer with the rest of the colors. But around the other areas, it kind of clumps together and it stays there and it forms like a bit of a ridge, which was what I was trying to get here. I like the shimmer in the middle, but I really wanted those ridges around the outer edges of the ink. So I just continued to add colors. Now here I use Sailboat blue because I decided I need a little bit more color to it. The colors that I have are a little bit more subdued, so I wanted a bit more vibrance. So I went ahead and added that, and then I used a bit of the alcohol, the IPA, to sort of soften out my edges a little bit in the end. So you basically can just keep going at it until you figure that you like what you have on your page. And even if you didn't like it, you could use your IPA to sort of soften up areas and start again if you wanted to. So I decided I was good with this, and that's where I stopped. And I actually let this dry overnight just because I wanted to make sure it was fully dry. You don't have to wait that long. So here are the two results. This was the one with the silver mixative, which is very subtle. And then this is the one with the brass, which is actually the one that I think I'm going to use because I really like the way that brass shines. So I'm going to go ahead and use this Spellbinders ornament glimmer plates and die set. And I'm going to use that ornament along with the Merry Christmas sentiment. So you can see this set is very cool because you can actually switch out the Merry Christmas for a Happy Holidays, which is a little more politically correct. And you just have to line it up and kind of tape it down with some washi tape to hold it in place. And next I'm going to grab my Spellbinders quick trimmer. So I just got this, and this thing comes in handy for cutting your foil. I'm one of those people who doesn't like wasting my foil. You can see it comes with two trimmers there, the foil one and the paper one. So I'm going to take the foil one, and I actually put my extra pieces of foil in the center of my tube so that I can use them for other projects. And I'll line up my ornament plate with the foil and just kind of pick one of those lines on there to trim it. And then I still have a bit of extra foil at the end. So I'll turn it sideways. Again, line it up with the Glimmer plate and then cut off that extra little piece, which is perfect for a sentiment if I wanted to use that later on, which I do actually. So there I have my foil. It's nicely cut and there's nothing, you know, messed up about the paper, which I do find sometimes happen when you're cutting it by hand with scissors. So I mean, the trimmer's cool, but it's completely up to you. So I have the Spellbinders Holiday Sentiments Glimmer Plates and Die set. I'm using this sentiment die to kind of cut out the sentiment. As I told you, I did do a sentiment, and I just want to apologize right now. I actually missed a bit of footage here. I was just recording when I shouldn't have been and just completely missed my glimmering of that ornament. So I do want to share with you that this is where that sentiment came from. It's from the Spellbinders Elegant Holiday Glimmer Sentiments. And I went ahead and I cut that out along with two other strips. And now I'm going to work on my background here. It's completely dry. I'm going to cut it to about 3.5 inches in width here to create my slimline card. And then at the bottom of that sketch, there's like 3 strips. So I'm going to cut this again, and I'm going to cut an inch piece from the bottom, and then another inch piece, and then a 1/3 inch piece from the bottom. So that in between I can put those little pieces of cardstock to create what the sketch looks like. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my ornament here kind of off to the side, just like the sketch has that circle. And that's how it's going to eventually look. So I also used the little dies from that same Glimmer set, and I cut out these little poinsettias and these mistletoe pieces and these branches from Vellum. Now this is a cool Vellum. It's called Grafix Vellum, and it's got a bunch of different like translucent and shimmer, like it's got a gold shimmer, a silver shimmer. So I ended up using the silver shimmer here. It's really nice. And then I'm also going to use the Spellbinders Simply Perfect Layered Bloom set to get some other little elements along with the Spellbinders Always Welcome. This was the large die of the month for October 2020. So I got like a bunch of little pieces, little die cuts that I'm going to assemble here. I'll show you how I put this flower together. I'm using this Sizzix foam pad and the Spellbinders Tool-in-One. So the Tool-in-One comes with a bunch of different little attachments here. And this is the ball one, which is used to kind of create some dimension in your flower. So it kind of rounds out your leaves and makes them a little more lifelike. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my lighter piece of cardstock to the darker piece. This is all Recollections cardstock in different colors. And then I have these little poinsettia pieces, which are from that Front Door Always Welcome set. And these are just going to add a little bit more interest to my card. So again, I'm kind of just shaping them a little bit and then attaching the little centers with some Barely Art glue. And then I also have this branch set that I cut out from the Simply Perfect die set. And this is more of a floral, just like any type of anytime die set. And I decided that I was going to use it more in a Christmas way. So you can always mix and match your die sets like that. Now I have some Sizzix Opulent Gold Mirror cardstock. This is about 3.5 by 8.5 inches. And that's going to be the backdrop of my card front. So I found that the best way to put this card front together was kind of attach the pieces one by one at the back here with some washi tape. And it's going to be a bit flimsy, but it's okay because I'm going to attach it to that gold piece of cardstock that I had cut out already. So now I'm just trimming off the edges, those extra overhanging pieces from those sentiment strips. And I basically will have much of the sketch completed here. So you can see it's very flimsy. I'm going to add some double-sided tape to the back here and stick it onto my mirror cardstock just so I have a little lip of it sticking out on the left and right sides. So it's not going to completely create a border at the top and bottom, just on the left and right. So I center it where I like it, and then I take off the backing of my double-sided tape so that it's not going to go anywhere there. And now I want to add my ornament and all my little die cut pieces. So I'm just going to arrange this on the card as I see fit. And I'll move the pieces around based on how I think it looks. I mean, the placement is completely up to you. You could make the exact same card if you wanted and totally just use different die cut elements and get a completely different look. So I decided I wanted my ornament to be kind of propped up a bit, so I used a couple foam squares at first because I know I'm going to have to stick some of those little branchy elements behind it. And once I've stuck the branchy elements, I'll add a bit more foam to it to sort of prop it up and give it a bit more strength. So I'm just going to stick these little branches in and keep gluing them down in the way that I felt that they looked the best. Just like so. And then I have these leaves. Like the leaves I cut out of that gold mirror cardstock as well because I felt it tied in well with the foil that I used on the ornament. So as I said, I stuck some extra foam pieces behind the ornament here to give it a bit more strength. And then once I'm done doing that, I'm going to add these little snowflakes that I cut out. And I think these snowflakes are from the Always Welcome set from Spellbinders. I usually use just a whole bunch of gems, so I thought I'd kind of change it up a bit. Because it's wintry, I'll add these few little gold snowflakes. Again, that ties the gold in from the background. And then I'm going to use these AB crystal lolly beads, which I've mentioned before I get from Amazon. They're actually like nail art gems, and they're really nice to use for cards. So I basically use them on all my cards. And because this is an AB finish, it kind of picks up all the colors, the blues and the pinks and the purples. So I thought it was really nice to use with this card front. So I'll just go ahead and place some other gems all around. I wasn't going to because I had the snowflakes, but I couldn't resist. So I just went ahead and did that. So that's what the front panel is going to look like. You can see I added like those 4 other purple flowers at the bottom to give it a bit more interest and tie in that purple branch from the top. And now I've gone ahead and cut out my card base from some heavier white cardstock. And I have these pieces. Remember I cut off this one piece from that background in the beginning. Now I said to save it. I've cut it into 3.5 inches, the width, just a little bit smaller than that, maybe 3 1/4. And I'm attaching the mirror cardstock on the bottom, the top and bottom of it. And I've done that to 2 pieces. And this is going to go at the bottom of each of the 2 sides of the inside of my card. And I'm trying to show you that I'm leaving a bit of a white border around it. And my reason for doing this is if I had put that whole panel on the bottom continuous along the fold, I would have had a problem folding my card. It would have bunched up there in the center and caused a big problem. And I've done this before with cards in the past, and it hasn't been such a big deal, but I find that this is a good way to kind of make sure your card is going to fold closed. So that's just a little tip I've learned from doing this in the past. So I have another flower that I created in exactly the same way as the one on the front, along with a few more elements like the ones that we used on the front. So again, this is your way to tie in the front of your card to the inside of your card. I've used some scraps from the background from the front on the inside, along with some of the same elements. This is what keeps your card continuous from front to inside, and you're not wasting your scraps. Like I said, that border piece at the bottom there would have been completely scrapped from the front and used maybe for a different card. But here I've worked with it and used it to tie in the front to the inside. So let's move on to the sentiment. I'm going to be using this Altenew Holiday Wishes stamp set, and I've done a lot of masking here because what I want to do is keep these thicker words in a different color. So you can see hope, peace, and love. Those 3 words, I'm going to mask them off and then stamp them out with VersaFine Clair Twilight ink, which is a nice deep blue ink. Now I could have used a lighter color, but there's a large chance that there'll be a bit of contamination of my ink from the typed font to the script font. So by keeping a darker color, I prevent any type of mistakes from being more visible. So, I mean, if it's an easier stamp to mask, go ahead and use a light color. But if you want to try this method with a stamp like this, it's a little more complicated. I would suggest using a darker color if you're using if you're using like a black for the rest of your font. So here, I'm masking off the small words, and I'm going to ink up the rest of my stamp with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, which is a black. And you can see I kind of use my nail to take off any extra bits I might see. I really check it before I stamp it down. And then once it's stamped, I really don't double stamp because it's hard to get it in the exact same position. So instead of double stamping, here's my solution. I use this Sakura pigment Micron drawing pen set, and it's actually a really good ink. It's archival ink, so it works well with your stamped ink. And you can see on my C here, there's the top bit of the C is actually missing. So I'm actually going to add that on, and then any other places where I feel like it's a little light or it didn't stamp properly, I'm just going to fill that in very carefully. And it's completely up to you how far you go with that. So there you can see my sentiment's a little more complete, and I didn't have to double stamp, which might have potentially ruined that. So my last step here is to attach my card panel to the card base. And I'm doing this how I always do it, which is to have my strong double-sided tape and then to use tape runner, which is a little bit more repositionable, to get it onto the front exactly where I want it. And then I'll take off the released paper from the double-sided tape. Now I do have a bit of the front kind of overhanging here, so I'm just going to perfect that with my guillotine cutter to just get that off nicely. Have a nice clean cut and make sure my card is complete. So this is my final product, and I hope that you liked this. This was actually one of the cards I really liked, and I definitely would make a few more like this. If you liked it as well, go ahead and give me a like, give me a thumbs up. Maybe you want to hit the notification bell to be notified of when I have another video I've posted. Subscribe to my channel, take a look at my blog, take a look at any of my other posts, and definitely go to www.makethecardschallenge.com. Take a look at what the other design team members have created and get inspired, and go ahead and create your own card with the same sketch challenge picture. I definitely recommend it, and it's a great way to get crafty and just get involved. So if you have a chance, I have a couple other videos here that you might want to take a look at. If not, go ahead and join the challenge. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope to see you again. Thanks. Bye.